hi to Daniel. Hi, Daniel. He'll be observing us, making sure we're all doing the right thing here. So he's not actually with us yet. I'm just making a video. I'm not quite that coordinated to get us up on Teams or something here. So I could do it, but I don't know. I just like doing it the other way. Let's have a word of prayer. Let's pray for Daniel. He gets better from COVID and back with us as soon as possible. What else is going on in all of your lives here today? What would you like to praise the Lord for or pray for here today?
I like a wild thing happened with my music with my symphony piece.
Yeah.
I had accidentally brought the treble clef B flat version home. Really? Like, so that's a step back because I'm a bass clef instrument, but I just learned treble clef from my junior tech, so I was like, okay, it'll just be like a learning curve.
Sure.
So I practiced that, and then I came back and was like, thank God, my bass clef. So I've been practicing that for the next couple of weeks. Then I practiced with my accompanist when we were in different keys, and then I looked at my bass clef version, and it was still a B flat version.
Oh.
So I've been practicing up a step in a different key for the last 3 weeks. So I was a little stressed, but I went back to the treble clef version, and it's actually a lot easier than I remembered. So I'm just thankful that God works in ridiculously crazy ways.
So, Dr. Gordon used to have an interesting thing to say about audiation. He says if you're truly audiating a piece, you can play it in whatever key, it doesn't matter. But that is much easier for singing than it is for an instrument where you have a different set of actual physical things for each key. And that's what he meant. He meant you could work it up in each key, just out of the sound in your mind. That's what he was talking about. But I was like, yeah, well, not quickly. It might take some time. But the more you practice transposing things, and not a top level of what you can do solo, but just, if you're doing sight reading, sing it in one key, play it in one key, then just try it in a different key. And try and think of it as places in the scale functionally instead of actual pitch names when you do that. And that's what transposing actually is. It's hearing the sound of it in a different key and then making that sound come out with your voice or instrument. So just a little aside for you here today. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you so much for each of the percussion Methodist class members here this year, and just the way that you've already used them in music and in many other ways here in their lives. And just pray that you continue to do so, and that as many of these students are in the latter part of their time here with us, Lord, that you would just guide and direct them and show them clearly the best path for their lives that would bring glory to you and help others in the best way, and therefore give them your purpose. And think of Daniel today. Please help him to just be able to heal quickly, feel well, to keep up with his work, and to not have any lasting effects, Lord. And thank you that you've helped Emma with her key mishap there to find something that works well and that'll work with the piano part and not waste a lot of her time. Please help us today as we continue with our knowledge and skills, that I would be clear in my explanations and that we remember well the things that we've covered. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look through our objectives for today. First of all, does anybody need help remembering either the 8-hand drill or the accent drill? Would anybody like me to go over either of those?
On the accent one, I couldn't remember.
Okay, so the accent one, we're just, okay. Greg, let's see, we might have to scoot back just a little bit because we need to leave a slot there for Daniel to see. Let's just find a place for Dr. Kielmeyer here to work in with us. So the accent drill, just think in groups of 4. And we'll accent the first of each group for 4 beats. Think of it like 16th notes, 4 beats of 16th notes, or a measure in 4/4 time. And then we'll accent the second one, the next measure, then the third one, the next measure, then the last one, the 4th measure. So think of like 4 measures of 16th notes where we accent each measure, then the next of the 4 notes. So let's try that slowly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready and go. Now the second. Third. we go. That should be fine. So you can come on in here. Jonathan. Good. Let's, everybody take a look at your hand position. By the way, what's the main purpose of the 8-in-hand drill? Even consistent strokes. And what are you being your own teacher about besides listening to the sound of the strokes while you're doing that drill? Your body position, your hand position, stick position, the first 3 R's, the relax, wrist, and rebound, those are all good things you should be thinking about. So let's just play it one more time, and you be your own teacher this time as you play, now that we know what we're, how the drill goes, and let's see if we can do a little bit better on some of those things. Ready, and go. What are we thinking about to create accents on percussion instruments?
It comes up higher, it comes down faster.
Yep, think a higher, faster stroke. What do we not want to think for accents? Harder or more tense, right? Yes, it is harder, but it's harder as a result of a high, fast stroke, not us grabbing down and forcing it into the pad. All right, one more time, a little bit faster this time. See if you can keep your good hand position and relaxation, wrist motion, all those good things. Ready, and play. Now some of you may say, why don't you just put the drill up on the board for us? We can get it right the first time. I'm trying to get you used to doing things without reading. I'm trying to develop your ability to think and memorize and audiate and do things orally, and then we'll do a lot of reading as well. But it's just, you haven't grown up that way for the most part. Maybe some of you have. Most of you have since you had instrumental music instruction, everything has been off a page. So you're kind of uncomfortable, a lot of people at least, working without something on a page in front of them. But the sound to sight is the best way to develop audiation, and eventually to even develop more accurate and musical reading. Yeah, we'll do a lot of things. We'll do something every day that's creative, and we'll do some things without notation, just to kind of get us used to teaching that way and thinking that way ourselves. All right, one more time. So again, think patterns of 4. You're going to emphasize the first one for 4 beats, the second one for 4 beats, the third one for 4 beats, the fourth one for 4 beats. And I'm going to switch it up. I've been doing the same as you. I'll do opposite of you so that your sticks actually match me. You can mirror, I'll mirror you basically. Ready, go. And then that's the type of thing, the 8-in-hand drill, again, we start each of these slow and then we do it a few times, getting faster and faster until we kind of reach the limit at which we can be accurate and stay relaxed. Once it starts getting tense, slow it down a little. And over the semester, those things will just increase naturally by themselves if you do it that way. All right, let's go ahead and go to our, actually I want to show you a couple things before we proceed to our objectives here. Let me pop the Canvas course up here for a second. So you'll notice in this resources folder, there's the practice record sheet, the percussion videos. Then I gave you links to 2 method textbooks. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at those or not. The one on top, Teaching Percussion, is kind of the standard percussion methods class textbook. Used, it's about $80, new 120. So I didn't have you buy that for 1 credit class, but especially if you're going to be a band director, that'd be a really good resource, at least one of these to have, just so you can look things up, or if you're going to be working with percussion in any fashion at a church or whatever. It'd be a good resource to have. Look for one used. I think that takes you to Amazon and has some options. The second one is written more for kind of a studio teacher, but it is applicable for anything as well. It goes into a lot of detail on each instrument. It's written by the principal percussionist for the Detroit Symphony and other symphonies for many years, and just explains things well. And each of these have, you know, other video and example type of supplements to them as well. So, you know, if you think you're heading in a direction where you're going to be working with percussionists, teaching percussionists, one or the other would be a good option for you. The second one's a little less expensive, but either one of them will give you what you need to know long term. For what you need to know for this class, the videos that we're watching are fine, so that's why I did it on those. So, again, teaching percussion looks like that. Percussion pedagogy looks like that. And you can get them on Amazon or wherever books are sold. I wanted to just, as we got going with the snare drum technique here, wanted to let you see kind of what's at the other end of the spectrum. So this is the, every year they have, yeah, you can see it for a minute, 3-minute video here. But every year they have a snare drum competition, mallet competition, all sorts of different percussion competitions at the international convention. And this was one particular one that won in 2011, but he's really creative in what he does. He'll start out playing with 2 sticks in each hand, and just kind of watch what he does from that point on, and how he made up this solo himself, and what he does to just add variety, so it's not just all one loud snare drum sound that's the same the whole time. Finger control. Just running through a bunch of movements super fast. not a lot of dynamic variety in marching drum. Like you can play it soft, it's still loud, but and on here, you know, you only heard this much of the volume anyway. It went from there to here if you were in the room. But if it was in this room, you'd be plugging your ears for a lot of what he was playing. It'd just dominate the room. So marching drum, marching snare is totally different from concert snare, but it's a lot of fun, both visually and technically. And especially when you have a line of people doing all those stick effects and everything, it's just pretty impressive. So its own thing, whole different world of percussion. We'll learn a few of the rudiments that lead toward what he's doing, but mostly we're aimed at concert, band, orchestral type of playing here. That's its own thing, and people that can do that just do snare drum their whole lives and work really hard on just snare drum instead of kind of learning it to be a multiple percussionist. So it's not an educational thing, it's a specialization thing, but thought you'd enjoy watching that anyway. So, you feel inspired? You ready to go? Okay, our turn. Let's go ahead and take a look at our objectives for today's class. And pop that back up. There we go. So today, we're concerned with playing the correct body position and snare drum technique as we play. We've been working on that already. Improvising in duple meter with rest, elongations, and syncopation, which some of you were dying to do last time already. And then read and play burns 23 through 26, and duple meter exercises with correct technique and rhythmic accuracy. Move and say Gordon rhythm syllables and triple meter. So we'll do kind of what we did last time with duple meter with triple here today once we get going. I need to grab my stick. So let's go ahead and stand and get started with our improvising in duple meter. So before we play, let's move and get the feel of it inside of us again. So we have macro beats that are do's, micro beats that are due days, divisions that are due to days. Let's get all three of those beat levels going at once here. Ready, go. Do, 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 do. Do, day, do, day, do, day, do, day. Do to data, do to data, do to data, do to data. Good. Get that inside of you. Now I'll say some patterns. I'll start with some rest patterns. See if we can keep going back and forth together with me. Ready, listen, and repeat. Do, day, do to data, they do.
Do, day, do to data, they do.
Do, do, day, do.
Do, do, they do.
Do, to data, do.
Do, to data, do.
Do, day, do, day, do.
Do, they, do, they, do.
All right, yeah. So even for us, go ahead and stop for a second. Even for us, rest can be tricky, and that's one of the reasons I'm having you move to really audiate well. We need to be able to imagine the space between the beats. So that's why I'm having you kind of sway back and forth. So there's kind of a continual motion going on, not just a march thing. It's kind of a beat, 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 but it's a back and forth where there is space between the beats that you can learn to feel and imagine as you're playing that. Same thing with your students. So especially staying in tempo, it has to do with imagining the space in between the beats. It's not getting a metronome click in our mind. It's an imagined motion, and it's concerned with between what happens, not exactly what happens. Rhythm patterns themselves are more exactly what happens, but tempo is kind of between what happens and the background underneath what happens, if you want to say it that way. All right, so that was rest. Let's do, which other one did I say here? Elongation. Yeah, elongations and syncopation. We did elongations last time. Let's move on to syncopation. What is syncopation, first of all?
Accenting the offbeat.
Yeah, or you could say emphasizing between the beats, and it could be different beat levels. It could be at the macro beat or micro beat or even division level. So some common, in duple meters, some common syncopation patterns could be do, day, day, do, day, day,
Day, day, do, day, day.
do, day, do, day, day, do.
Do, day, do, day, day, do.
Or if we could do syncopation. syncopation at the next beat level might sound something like this. Do ta ta do day, do ta ta do.
Do ta ta do day, do ta ta do.
Do day day do ta ta do.
Do day day do ta ta do.
Do ta ta day day do.
Do ta ta day
Again. Do ta ta day day do.
do ta ta day do.
That's it. All right, so I'm just putting a rest on a do. That's all I'm doing. Do ta ta day day do.
Do ta ta day day do.
Do ta ta day do.
Do ta ta day do.
Do day take to do day day.
Do day ta do day.
Do ta ta do.
Do ta ta do.
Do day 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 day.
Do day day.
All right, so those are some of the ways we could use syncopation and duple meter. Let's go ahead and grab our sticks, and we're gonna go around the circle now. And this time, make everybody, the first time around, we'll make up a pattern that has a rest in it, and the second time around, we'll make up a pattern that has a syncopation. And then we'll just do call and response. So you play, everybody, you play and say, everybody else repeats you, and we'll go around the circle again. I'll go ahead and start us, and then we'll head on this way around for our rests. So let's keep this tempo for now. Get that inside of you. Imagine the macrobeats and microbeats. Internalize it. Ready, listen. Day, 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 do. We always say and play, right? We always say and play. We're getting used to the syllables, so we're going to say and play. Ready, again. Do, day, 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 do. Whichever way you want it, yep. Go ahead.
That was easy.
Okay, we're not quite matching them up. Give it another shot. Do to day to rest. Okay, go ahead and do that one. Ready, go. Do to day to rest. Do day, do to rest. So you see, even with college music majors, and we're not always quite sure how to match up the sounds with the syllables, and that's common with students as well. So if they perform something that makes sense, then just kind of do it back to them with the correct syllables. That's what usually happens. If they just kind of get all off and it's not with the beat and it's not what we're after, then maybe just kind of help them through it, help them figure out what they're after. And they may just like say the syllables one right after the other, and then you show them how that would be. So there's kind of a back and forth when you're doing improvisation. But the cool thing is everybody can improvise at their own level. After Dr. Kielmeyer did his, he said something about, that was really simple, or that was really easy. It's music, who cares, you know? It was a rest pattern, it was correct. So you can have the same kids doing whatever level they're comfortable with all simultaneously in an exercise like this, and meet the individual needs that way through improvisation. All right, let's do the same thing with syncopation now. So syncopation, basically, we think a long note in between two short ones where we're emphasizing in between the beat, if you want thinking notation. So there's a lot of different ways we can do it, but I'll get us started, and then we'll go this way around this time and see if you guys can keep it going. Ready, and listen and repeat. Do, day, day, ta, do.
I'm not ready.
Okay, remember you can drop out the time before your turn if you need to think of something.
Is it dotted coordinate syncopation or does it have
That'd
to
be
like-
elongation.
So I can't do it.
If you're talking about do, day, do, that wouldn't be syncopation. But basically think of emphasizing the days or the tas. That'll get you syncopation. So hers would be do ta ta do day do day do. Ta, ta, do, day, do, day. Ta, 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 day, good. Do, day, do, day, day, do.
Nope, that didn't work.
remember to say the syllables as you go too. That's an elongation. Mhm. Go ahead and turn your hands over too. Yep. Forgot to drop out and think of one, didn't you? So if you're thinking notation, think 8th quarter 8th or 16th 8th 16th. That'll get you syncopation. There's other ways we can do it with ties and stuff too, but that's a good place to start. So to do. That to do is the speed you're going. So day do would be the speed that if you're using those syllables, because the do day is that speed. So to do, is that syncopation? Now you're emphasizing on the do's every time. All right. So again, do day, or do ta. One of those two things will get you there. So think a longer note between two short ones, and you're emphasizing between the beat levels somewhere. We'll come back to chat. Who else is ready? Are you ready? Okay. Do you have one yet, Jonathan? Give him a second. Let's see. Do today. Again, that's not a syncopation. So think do ta do or do day. One of those two patterns in there. You're doing a bunch of elongation patterns, the dotted things you was talking about. So that's a different pattern. All right, you're up. All right, you kind of skip the beat in there. Try it again. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, just kind of focusing our minds on one rhythm function at a time is something we're not used to doing too. We're used to thinking more holistically than that. But as you teach students, I'm going really fast through them with you guys. But we get comfortable with macrobeats and microbeats. Then we'll do divisions for a while. Then we'll do elongations for a while. Then we'll do rest for a while. And by the time we get to syncopations, they're really comfortable with all the stuff that came before. I'm just kind of skipping through quickly one day to the next for you guys. But all right, let's go on to our book stuff. Go ahead and grab a stand. Oh yes. I'm just going without the snares for now, so it's not as loud for you guys. So yeah, sometimes I'll play snares down, sometimes snares off. But, yeah, good question. Again, snare drum is just pretty loud. Go ahead and turn to page 23, take a look at that. I need to grab my book up here and back. Now that we're looking at notation, don't forget everything you've gotten to this point. Get your body position, hand position, relaxation, rebound, all of those good things. How would we say this 8 to 16 pattern? Good. Do, 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 do. Let's start at line 2. 1, 2, or section, or exercise 2. 1, 2, ready, and do, 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 do. Let's skip down to how would we say the rhythm in exercise 4 that has 16ths and 8ths? Yeah, so do day, do day, do today, do today. Ready, play. Do day, do day, do day, do day, do day. Ah, so this is exactly what your students will do. I was just gonna see if you did. So look through and find where all the do todays are. Then look through and find where all the do dates are. Make sure your mind is ready for that difference. By the way, when I'm teaching these, I just say you can put you can have do days, kind of your starting rhythm, and then you can put do todatas between or after each one. Or you can just put one do today. So if we put one here, we do this, it becomes do today instead of do today ta. Or we could put one here, and it becomes do day ta. So we didn't say the ta there. So it's like a do day with a ta, or the other one is, oops. Is like a due day with a time between. The other's like a due day with a tie after it. So, and every time, sorry, I shielded you guys off while I was doing that. But basically, I'm showing the, let me go this way. I'm showing them that there's your due day. Due data just has a tie after it. There's your due day. Due today just has a time in the middle of it. And when I explain it that way, kids just always get it really fast. So, and then seeing the difference between them, it makes sense. So let's go ahead and say measures 1 and 2 of number 4. Ready, say. Do day, do day, do today, do today, do day, do day, do data, do data. And that's always a good strategy. When the kids are messing up saying and playing, just go back to just saying and then try and put them back together. Take the pieces apart and then put them back together. Here we go. Ready, play. Do day, do day, do day, do day, do day, audiate through the next one, but don't say or play anything. Just imagine it in your mind with syllables. All right, if you're going the same tempo we were going, you just finished. Did you notice where all the due todays were and all the due datas were? Kind of throws them around this time, doesn't it? There's no common pattern. Again, or let's try saying and playing. If it were younger students, we'd say first and then we'd add the playing in. Ready, go. Rest. Yeah. Let's take a look at page 25. 16th rests. so let's slow down the tempo a little bit because getting all these in 16ths in can be kind of tricky at first. Let's think in this tempo now. Now, remember with rests, when we're teaching it or when students are having trouble with it, we can kind of break it into 3 steps. The first step, we just say all the notes and rests. That kind of gets the sound of the whole pattern in their mind. The second step, we say the notes but whisper the rests. And the third step, we say the notes but audiate the rest. So let's just try that to demonstrate here with number 1. Let's say all the notes and all the rests. Ready, go. Do ta data, 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 do. So it's just a bunch of do ta datas. Some of them we say, some of them we won't. But if we're thinking though, if we say it like that, then they realize, oh, this is just like a whole measure of 16th notes, which I've played. Now it's just, we play some, we don't play others. Yes?
Why in measure 2 are 3 and 4 tied together and then in the third measure?
Because you can see it both ways. They're just, sometimes people will do 2 beats at a time when they beam in 4/4, sometimes they won't. So, yeah. All right, yeah, rhythmic notation, tons of inconsistencies. That's one of the things that approaching it from a sound and feel helps overcome a lot of those inconsistencies. But kids will have questions like that, and there's a simple answer. Usually there's a lot of ways to write the same sounds. So here's a couple. All right, so now here's the tricky part. We're not used to going back and forth quickly in our voice from speaking to whispering. So let's try and whisper all the rest. Let's slow down even more. Ready and go. Do to date, 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 do. Good. Now think the syllable, just audiate it, but don't say it this time. Ready and go. Do to date, do to date, do date, do date, do to date, do to date, do date, do date, do to date, do to date, do date, do date, do to date, do to date, do to date, do. Good. Now use that same, apply that same principle, only skip right to the audiation on line 2. Think through it and see if we can do it right the first time. Notice which syllable the rests fall on. Where do you think people would tend to mess up?
After the due date. So
They'll mess up every time there's 2 rests in a row, right?
Or you get 2 notes in a row in this case. Like when one pattern and another pattern.
Yeah, when it switches patterns, might be one spot for sure. Yeah, because the do comes instead of having to rest on do, and then the other place is after the 2 rests. That's the one that's trickier. Rests are always trickier than notes for kids because it's imagining silence instead of playing sound. It's like you're not doing something instead of doing something to them. So again, putting syllables on it, then taking them away, makes it like they're doing something in their mind. Let's say, once again, if we just said this, it would be straight do to datas all the way through, right? So let's skip to the next step and do the whisper the rests. Ready and go. Ta data, ta data, ta data, do date, ta data, ta data, ta data, do date, ta data, do date, ta data, do date, ta data, ta data, ta data, do date. All right, now same play. We're gonna skip the say it and audiate step. Ready and go. Just like Andrew said, the place that some of us messed up was measure 3, where we switched the pattern that we had in measures 1 and 2, right? They went to a new pattern in 3. So that's always a thing to look for. All right, let's see, let's do one of them. How about the summary on number 26? Audiate this quickly on your own. Look for any tricky spots.
Can we do 2 parts?
We're just gonna all play the snare part today. The other one's steady beats. So. We're working on our rest today. Okay, not playing, just audiating. Okay, just kind of glance through and notice where the 2 rests are in a row, where patterns change. All right, let's play and say it. Data, data, ready, go. Think about triple meter for a little bit before we end here today. So we said last time, and we're just going to move and say patterns again here, so you can get your stands out of the way. By the way, make sure those rhythm sheets I handed out, did I give you the triple meter sheets yet, or just the triple meter? Okay, I'll give you the triple meter ones on Monday, but make sure that you're working through the duple sheets. We'll do those in class here as well, but now that you kind of know how it works, and then it also has the syllables there, your snare drum book isn't that tricky of rhythm, so use those sheets. Make sure you can do the stuff in the snare book, and then use those sheets to kind of challenge yourself rhythmically. All right, triple meter. Macro beats are do's. Macro beats are do-da-dee, because there's 3 of them on a beat instead of 2, right? Divisions, again, are tas. So how would that sound with a beat of divisions? Do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta is how it would go. So do-da-dee turns into do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta. All right, so let's feel a kind of a slow, almost like a tree waving in the breeze type of motion. Do, 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 do. Do-da-dee, 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 do-da-dee. Do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta, 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 do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta. Good. Now just get that inside, and we'll do a couple patterns and be done today. Do-da-dee, do-da-dee, do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta, do.
Do-da-dee, do-da-dee, do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta-do.
Do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do-da-dee-ta-do.
Do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do-da-dee-ta-do.
Do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do-da-dee-ta-do.
Do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do-da-dee-ta-do.
Do-ta-da-ta-dee, do-ta-da-ta-dee, do, do.
Do-ta-da-ta-dee, do-ta-da-ta-dee, do, do.
Do-da-ta-dee-ta-do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do. Listen. Do-da-ta-dee-ta-do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do. Do-da-dee, do-ta-da-dee, do. Do-da-ta-dee, do-da-ta-dee, do-da-ta-dee-ta-do.
Do-da-ta-dee, do-da-ta-dee, do-da-ta-dee-ta-do.
Do, do-ta-da-ta-dee-ta-do-da-dee.
Do-ta-da-dee-ta-do-da-dee.
Do-ta-ta-ta-do-da-dee, do-ta-ta-ta-do.
Do-ta-ta-ta-do-da-dee, do-ta-ta-ta-do.
Which function was that? Syncopation, very good. Do, dee, do, dee, do, da, dee, do. What function was that? Elongation, good. How about this one? Do, da, do, da, do, ta, 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 dee, ta, do. All right, what was that one? That was another syncopation. So do, da, we're kind of emphasizing in between the beats, so syncopation. All right, cool. Have a great weekend. Oh, so did everybody see my messages about the quizzes? Know what we're going to do with those? They're just on Canvas now instead of on the Big First site. They took them down from the Big First site, so I'm making them ahead of you here, and they'll be on Canvas. All right, you can still fill out your study guides and use your study guides as you take the quiz, just like you would have on the Big First site. It's just they're on Canvas.
So,